Hello everybody, this is something a little bit different. I happen to be a Tower of Terror fan, huge fan. So, as the one you see that I have here, this is the Orlando one, this is the original. What very many people don't know is the Tower of Terror was never ever supposed to be Twilight Zone based. So, what I'm doing is a video. So this is Hollywood Studios, the picture of the one in Hollywood Studios in Orlando. I was on this back in 2001. They had just launched what they call T3, which is the third software version of Tower of Terror. So I'm going to show a couple of things. Right here you have 4 doors. This picture's not the best. You have 2 shafts. Now, on the story shaft, you go up to the hallway room. Okay? Cool. Tells you a story, you go up to the 5th dimension room and go out and go down in the drop shaft. Well, in the original design, that hallway room was supposed to be there. So what would happen was, you go up and you would go out, and what's now the drop shaft, you would go in that shaft and go down a little bit, and he would go out and he would kind of turn around and go into a third shaft that would tell the end of the story. It wasn't Twilight Zone based. What it was is basically what would happen was it was a hotel and bad things started happening to people. I guess it was supposed to be to where somebody died or whatever, and it was supposed to tell the story of the terror. That's what it originally going to be. But the problem was, they were going to go over budget with this because the technology, the cars that drive themselves, cost so much that they were going to go over budget. It was like $20 million. So what at the time Michael Eisner decided to do was to finish what is now what is considered the drop shaft off and get a Twilight Zone license. And the 5th dimension has not been. That is the weak point of this particular version, the original Tower of Terror. So, this is the DCA Tower of Terror, which is now being converted over to a Marvel. It's a lot skinnier. Instead of 4 doors that open that look at, you have 3. In the story, you still have 2 rooms. But here's the difference. It goes to what they call to a wave goodbye room. And, the guy who, Mark Silverman, the guy who did the voice of Rod Serling, they had to actually have to come back and redo some of the recording because this is different. So what you would do is you go up, it would say, okay, the spoiler alert, after you hear the reservation has been made in your name for extended stay, you hear a little bit of music and doors would open up and you would hear wave goodbye to the real world. After you do that, depending on what time of day you went on there, because during the day it would shake and at night it wouldn't. You're on it during the day, it would shake, then you would hear, for you have just entered the Twilight Zone. Okay, well you go down, you hear the elevator ding, it's called annunciator, and it would open up, it would be at the hallway. So, what would happen is after it says, once again the doors are opening, but this time they're opening up for you, you start dropping. But what I noticed about this, elevators have a safety on them. They will not move with the doors open. So once the doors are like this, if you look closely, the doors are still closing as you're dropping. So you go up, you go down, you hear the relay, which is the soundtrack, by the way. Relay start clicking and all that. Believe it or not, CBS was making $1 million a year off this ride. Not only that, the people who own the Hollywood Tower Hotel are making money off that. 2, the one in Paris is the same as this. So here's it goes. You have the original one, which is Orlando, which opened up in 1994. You have the second one, which is the DCA, which is being converted. It's still Tower of Terror, but they're converting it over to a Marvel backstory. The second one. The third one is in Japan. Now, this is not Twilight Zone based. It was going to be originally, but Twilight Zone never aired there, and they wouldn't understand it. So basically, I saw a video of this. They have a wave goodbye room as well. But here's the kicker. The story is kind of backwards. You go up, you go in the shaft, you roll, you get in the elevator, you roll back, just like the one out in DCA. You go to the hallway room first, which is Harrison Hightower's the third penthouse. Then you go up to the wave goodbye room and the ride starts there. But if you look at the wave goodbye room, I saw a video of it. I paused the video. If you look closely, they have an annunciator, which tells you what floor the elevator's on the top, which means it was originally going to be Twilight Zone based. And there's dead giveaways. They do make Twilight Zone references. So they have the purple lights just like the one out here. And if I would do this, and I would zoom in, this right here, a little bit about the Japan version. What it is basically Harrison Hightower III, he's a collector. Which I think that's why they're doing the Marvel stuff with the collector in Tower of Terror out here. There's gonna... Anyway, that's a long story. And I saw a short, and he puts the cigarette out in the Tiki Idol's head. Well, the Tiki Idol is cursed. So here's what happens. He curses the elevator relays and drops it on him. Well, when you get into the elevator, you're dealing with this character. And what's cool is they have a scene where the elevator stops in the shaft and it projects out onto the two-speed center opening doors, and then it goes up again. I thought they were going to do something like this for the DCA for Marvel, but it turns out they're not. So, and funny enough, the way this one's built is the same one at DCA, if you look at it here. But this design right here was kind of part of the original design for the one in Orlando. Something too interesting about this, Disney does not own Disneyland Tokyo, Panasonic does, and they pay a really high price for release. So, I do not have any film, so that's why I'm using the internet here. Here's a good pick. If you look closely here, these are where the stairs are. That's the third shaft. These are the two shafts that are there. Same kind of, the design of the building is staying. Now, if you really think about it, it's Tower of Terror with the Marvel backstory. Now, from another YouTuber, I forgot the guy's account name, but I found this out for him. You know who you are. When the Tower of Terror software ran, okay, I'm going to use the one in Orlando for example. Even if it's at random, one time it opened and the elevator wasn't there. Okay, it's at random. It's going to open the doors. Every time that ride ran, the doors looking out would open. Same thing with the DCA Tower of Terror, the Japan Tower of Terror, and the Tower of Terror in Paris. What I found out with this particular one, it's kind of, I understand why I don't like that, but I understand why they're going to do that. They're going to have it set up randomly to where these doors don't even open at all. So you don't know which ride profile you're getting. There's one profile where these are not going to open at all. And I'm thinking to myself, why would they do that? But the problem is they have to be careful, because if it's like too much like the Twilight Zone software, CBS could turn around and sue them. So they are already working on it, and the one in DCA. So I saw on YouTube that the lobby's gutted. I heard they're basically going to keep the boiler room, because that's they'll just remodel that a little bit to take all the Twilight. I think they're going to leave some Twilight Zone Easter eggs in there and make references to it because they can without actually saying it. So the way I look at this is basically you're going to have a Marvel backstory Tower of Terror. They're not calling it Tower of Terror, but it's still Tower of Terror. What I think is going to happen is each Tower of Terror is going to be its own. Like the Orlando is going to be Twilight Zone based. The one here is going to be Marvel based. I think they're not converting the one in Paris now, but I think that's going to be something different as well. So that's it for this. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching.